eye is like a straw for sucking up a hill of water. That's the lowest pressure point. It's actually the outside pressure that's pushing water up into the eye. But it's the same thing, by the way, with a straw. If you suck water out of a paper cup with a lid on it, it's really the outside pressure that's pushing the water up in the straw. You're just sucking the air out. And if somebody, actually took that lid and, put glue on it so it was tightly sealed, you go, nothing would happen. You need that outside air pressure to push it up. And an ordinary hurricane, the hill of water under the eye is often 30 feet above normal sea level. So you can have a substantial hill of water. And of course, when that crashes ashore, that's part of storm surge, which is partly this hill of water and partly wind and waves, drugged by the wind. That contributes to storm surge, and the shape of the bay and the coast and all that is going to determine how high this, and boy, oh boy, people have kind of forgotten that Hurricane Katrina never hit New Orleans, missed it clean. It hit Mississippi and Alabama and sent these waves, miles inland. That's where they did all the catastrophic damage. How come you don't hear about that? Because the folks cleaned it up and fixed it. Louisiana, they want somebody else to come in and do it. It's all your fault. But never, that's another story. But you can get really substantial storm damage is a lot worse. The wind damage is pretty bad too, but the storm damage is the worst. But now the eye itself is a period of calm. Anybody here ever been through the eye of a hurricane? Hey, some people in the back. Okay. Wasn't in Colorado, was it? Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. I wouldn't be surprised then. Hey, that was mine. Okay. And so I was living as a child in Arcadia, and Hurricane Donna came through. And I got to go through the eye of a hurricane. Now, from a child's point of view, hurricanes are fantastic. Okay, and so we see them, come on, this way. We figure we're going to get off a week of school. We're going to get to play Monopoly endlessly by kerosene lanterns. We won't know whether it's night or day. We can stay up all night. Snacks, any kind of snack is okay. So, kid's paradise. Unless you're a homeschooler, then you wind up just catching up on homeschool work. So, here we were, and, it's coming, and, the rain began to beat. That finds every little nook and cranny. You got towels under the door and around the windows and all that. And a ceaseless noise, it's just vibrating in your head. And then, here we are playing Monopoly or something. And all of a sudden, the wind ceases. It was very quick. The rain ceases, and glimmers of sunlight, come through the window. And for a minute you might kind of, did I die? Is this what? And cautiously, we opened the door, and boy, it's calm. There's no wind. The sun is shining. There's kind of an orangish green glow. I don't know why that's there. And fish flopping around the yard. So my brother and I go out chase fish all over the yard. For about 45 minutes, we were pretty much dead center on the eye. And then you see the backside coming at you. Of course, it builds up gradually from the front side, but the backside, boy, all of a sudden, it's full force eye wall winds. That's the neatest thing about hurricanes. They're this big, but their destructive eye wall winds are much smaller. Well, eye wall winds today, Hurricane Charlie that hit Arcadia was like Katrina. It was a Category 4, 145 mile an hour winds, that one. And that's the next to the top. They had Hurricane 5s hit Mexico up to 165 or 75, wherever they start 5s. And that's bad news. And they get 200s in the Pacific typhoons. 200 mile an hour one hit Guam. But in these hypercanes, the eye can be very small. That was one thing about Hurricane Charlie. It was a powerful hurricane, but very small. The eye was only 5 miles across. The eye which wiped out my orange grove, or the hurricane. The eye didn't do it, but the hurricane. And it was, the eye wall winds didn't extend out very far, but it really wrecked the stuff that it went through. Hypercane, now of course the eye can be like 50 miles across. In a hypercane, the eye might very easily be 150 to 200 miles across. Well, imagine a hypercane, say out over the Atlantic Ocean. Here there's a great big, 150, 200 mile an hour eye. The sun is shining, the winds are calm. It looks like a beautiful day. And so, where are the whales and the dolphins and the manatees and the sharks and the garfish and the drumfish and all of these other sea creatures? They're not out there around the edge fighting all of this wave action, which would actually extend quite a ways underground or underwater as far as turbulence. They just swim into the eye. And it's just a paradise. So, they got a big area. I mean, an eye that big is as big as, the state of Florida nearly anyway. And so they got plenty of place to play. They don't even think of themselves as being crowded into a small space. And they're actually higher above sea level than they were before, but they don't particularly notice that. And so things are going well until what? The hypercane, continues to move west. And then as the storm gets to the land, all of this wave action, waves kind of have a shape, there's the wave up here and then it extends down below. And when you get near shore, the bottom kind of gets caught. So the top water, it's going slower than the top. So the top bends over and you get these breakers. Well, now, of course, ordinarily you just get breakers and you jump them, and they're fun. Or you get bigger breakers in California and you surf on them. But now we're talking about breakers that are basically tsunami level, waves 100 feet high. Okay, wow. Okay, and extending for a couple of 100 miles along the coast of Florida. Now, you guys probably don't know, but does anybody know? Now, you were in Miami. What's the highest point between Miami on the East Coast and Naples on the West Coast? Actually, it gets up to 20 in places. Okay. And it's amazing. I came in on a flight from somewhere, maybe New York, just at sunset, into Miami. And, we're cruising along outside the coast, and you could see Miami and Miami Beach. And the sun reflection made the water all golden. And it really looked like, shouldn't these people flee for their lives? It looks like they're all surrounded by water. There's nothing to keep the water from flooding the place. It's really just the Everglades are right behind there. When you come across Alligator Alley, that's it. Swamps. Ooh, here all the cities, shopping center, etc. But it's just the Miami. By the way, what the geologic term for that is the Miami Ridge. Okay, 20 feet. Okay, so you got 100-foot waves, 100-foot storm surge, and a tsunami type waves coming across, and so here are all of these happy sea creatures that were in the eye of